Here is a list of the top 10 most haunted dolls in real life. Number 1. Harold. The story of Harold the Haunted Doll began when the doll was listed on eBay. Allegedly, Haunted Harold was purchased from a flea market by someone who said his son died shortly after he got the doll. Refusing to heed this information disguised as a warning, the new owner took the doll home, and within 2 days his cat died, his girlfriend broke up with him, and he started having episodes of serious migraines. He also began hearing the screaming and crying of children in his basement, and the doll supposedly seems to have a pulse. Haunted Harold is currently owned by Anthony Quinata, who has a YouTube channel where he asks the doll's question regularly, and home to crack its history and origin. Number 2. Pupa. Pupa is a cute little doll, but her looks in no way reflect her effects on people. She was built in the 1920s in the likeness of her, a 5-year-old girl who was to be her owner. Pupa was loved and taken care of by her owner until she died in the year 2005. After the demise of her owner, Pupa was placed in a display case by the family, and since then, there have been multiple reports of Pupa tapping in the glass, being found in different odd positions and leaving various messages on the walls of the fogged-up glass case. A family member allegedly caught the doll moving on camera, but the footage that was uploaded was weirdly covered in a white film with the words "Pupa no." Apparently, her owner had always said that in the past, Pupa had a mind of her own. Number 3. Letta. Letta is allegedly a 200-year-old ancient European gypsy marionette. It was discovered under a desolate house in New South Wales, Australia. The owner of the doll, Kerry Walton, has gone on air many times, highlighting the many consequences he had to face since finding such a doll. Objects moving of their own volition, items falling off walls and shelves, and people and animals freaking out at its presence are some of the consequences the doll brought with it. Early attempts by Kerry Walton to sell the doll proves ineffective because he always felt highly incapable whenever he wanted to sell it off. Letta, which is short for Letta Me Out, also has a head full of human hair, which can cause it to rain whenever it is taken outside. It is also reported to be capable of changing and readjusting its sitting position all by itself. Number 4. Joliet. The origin of the Joliet doll begins when a jealous family friend spitefully gave this cursed doll to a young woman as a pregnancy gift, and her baby boy tragically died just 3 days after his conception. Soon after this incident, the family began to hear a baby's cries coming from the doll. The doll has been kept within the family for over 4 generations, greatly preventing meaningful external investigation into the doll. However, reports have it that in each generation, a healthy baby boy and a healthy baby girl were successfully given birth to, but the healthy baby boy always ends up dying 3 days after their birth. According to stories from the family, the doll continues to cry to this day with the voices of the multiple male babies that have died from past generations. Number 5. Okiku. Okiku is a doll that originates from Japan. She's gotten international recognition as the doll with growing hair. The doll was purchased in 1918 for a girl named Okiku, who died less than a year later from severe flu. In honor of her memory, the family set up the doll in a large shrine, and that was when they started noticing that the doll's hair had been steadily growing, even after being cut on several occasions. This led the family to believe that the spirit of the deceased little girl had moved into the doll. Okiku has been put on display at the Manjari Temple since 1938, where people often visit to take a look at the doll and try to observe any hair growth. Hair samples have allegedly been collected from the doll and tested in the lab, and it was concluded that the hair is indeed human hair. Number 6. Amanda the Doll. Amanda with the doll was crafted by Henry Canvick in 1884 and is known for causing strange things in whichever new home she's taken into. It was first sold on eBay in 2003 and has since been put back for auction on the site on more than 20 occasions. Each new owner kept complaining that the doll was the cause of many strange, weird, and uncomfortable occurrences while they had her. There have been reports from various owners that Amanda moved between rooms, caused severe nightmares, and even scratched the faces of her owners while they were asleep. There are also reports that seemingly innocent and kind face of Amanda shifts into a grin whenever she begins her torment. All of these reports and activities earn this doll a place in John Harker's True Tales trilogy, nightmarish accounts of paranormal activity. Number 7. The Suzy Doll. From the account of Lorraine Warren comes the story of the Suzy Doll. The Suzy Doll was made by Aunt Robin, who was the young of Heather Platt, and was given her as a birthday present. That night as she slept, Heather's parents were awakened by the sound of growling and the passing of a dark shadow that seemed to come down the street and into their home. From that moment on, Suzy was known to move around the house on her own, move objects around in the kitchen that were too heavy to be moved by the children, and also pull the hair out of the heads of the children when they slept. Lorraine Warren arrived at the house one day when reports of a haunted doll got to her, and it took an exorcism doll to finally get out of the house for good. Number 8. the devil baby doll. In New Orleans around the 19th century, the practice of witchcraft and other paranormal activities like voodoo, utilizing spells and curses, was in great practice, and supposedly, one of the curses originating from these practices brought about the devil baby doll. A bride cursed by the Queen of Voodoo, Marie Laveau, was said to have given birth to a devil child spawned by the devil himself. In order to protect themselves, Creoles carved devil babies and hung them around in their respective homes. In recent times, local artist Ricardo Pistanio took the last pieces of the last remaining devil baby doll, recreated it, and even made more replicas. These dolls have been reported to rustle and whisper when they are all brought together, turn over ashtrays, move around by themselves, and cry when they are separated from each other. Number 9. Robert. This doll was given to painter Robert Eugene Otto when he was just a little boy. This doll has quite a history. According to his parents, Eugene talked to the doll often, and the doll could be heard responding to Eugene on multiple occasions. Eugene also placed the blame for small accidents which happened around the house on the doll. Eventually, the doll was placed in the attic, and as young Robert grew up, the doll was supposedly heard moving around in the attic, causing creaking sounds. Currently, Robert the doll resides at the Martello Gallery, Key West Art and Historical Museum, where he continues to attract the attention of people from all across the globe. Each year, the doll receives letters of apologies from people who were first skeptical of the doll's reputation and photographed it without permission, only to leave the museum and begin to experience various accidents, which they associate with the influence of Robert's cursed nature. Number 10. Annabelle. Annabelle's story is now very popular, thanks to the various theater works which brought the doll to light. But unlike the doll portrayed in these works, the real-life Annabelle doll looks nothing like a normal plastic doll. In real life, Annabelle is actually a Raggedy Ann doll that was given to a young nurse around the 1970s as a gift. The haunting began almost immediately, as the young nurse and her roommate began finding the doll in random places around the house with a different handwritten note sitting next to it. Famous demonologists and paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren examined the doll and figured they should lock the doll up to keep themselves and others safe from her effects. Though the doll is now safely kept at Warren's Occult Museum, she is still being held responsible for numerous paranormal attacks and at least one death.